Welcome everyone to our third session of the third day of next normal week with a very interesting title, which is the Field Force Challenge. We need reps more than ever. Today our lineup is extraordinary, and I would like to welcome from Budapest Zsolt Safranka. Hi Zsolt, how are you?
How are you? I'm fine, thank you.
Thank you. Robert Sunjic from Germany. I don't know which city in particular, but in any case, hi Robert, how are you?
Hi, thank you. Very good. The city is Aachen.
Okay, great. And Alexey Cherchago as well from Germany. And I see, Alexey, you're actually in the office, right? So
yes. Hi, pleasure to be here today.
Great. So, gentlemen, let's kick off with our first question, which we agree on during our preparation call. And this is, of course, COVID strengthened the position of the rep. And however, the role of the reps changes a lot. How do you see the change, and how your organization in particular evolved with those type of changes? Maybe we can start with you, Zsolt.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Dario. So I think this is the million-dollar question we need to address in all of our organizations in these days. And let me say on this way, I do hope you are not going to misunderstand me, that pandemic is very democratic, right? Democratic in a sense that all companies are impacted. All of our accounts, all of our customers are impacted. So there's no escape. We all need to adapt to the situation, and we are all in a change, right? So compared to the past progression of the pharma selling model and marketing approaches, now you cannot afford just not to change. And this is a huge challenge in this regard, I do believe, and I do hope the colleagues agree with me. So what we need to do, that we have to really focus on our customers first, understand them first, and then adapt to their needs dramatically. This is happening for a while, no question about that. But again, the big difference versus the past is that there's no other way to do it. So every single of our colleagues should understand this kind of adaptational need, and then they have to make their own part in the story in order to succeed together in the story. So that's my position in brackets, and I'm handing over to the guys.
Definitely. Thank you very much, Zsolt. Again, we hear us, the customer, so it's definitely something which should be embedded into our mindset.
Yeah, but just to make it clear, so the accent is that we are all in a change, and in the change right now, so it's not over yet, right? So this is progressing very rapidly, and today truth is not 100% valid for tomorrow. So this is very much a rapid adaptation what we have to follow and complete.
Definitely. Thank you, Robert.
Yeah, I can agree with Zsolt, and I think the change just started right now, and started dramatically, because I would say that our industry started this change years ago, and we are talking about customer journeys, we are talking about tracking, we are talking about pushing our reps, key account managers at the end, to understand the customer much better than just go to Dario and visit him and let's have a speech about the product. It's much more understanding of to bring the understanding in a CRM system in a digital way, and to know the customer better than ever. And I think the pandemic gave us a push for digitalization, and gave us a push that we are seeing this gap we have in the industry. That we see it much more than years before, because our model hasn't changed. I'm in the industry now since 2003, so a long time, and the model is more or less the same over Europe, over the world. And I think now we are coming in a new decade where we have to develop our people, our model, and that's what I'm seeing for us also as well in Grunenthal.
Thank you, Robert. Alexey, coming to you.
So I would say that there are a lot of definitely changes for back office, right, guys? But also there are huge changes for front end, right, for customer facing functions. And here, Dario, let me start with the change of the split, for example, between transactional and non-transactional activities, right, while engaging with the customers. sampling or product messages covered more than 70% of regular rep activities in the past, right? Now the share is opposite, right? What we have now is a major shift to patient-related discussions, right? Some specific requests relevant to individual needs of HCPs. Second point, which is also quite interesting, it's a fundamental change in patient journeys, right? And there are two implications from this. First of all, access, right, or restriction of access to our customers. And the second one, actually increasing expectations from their side around quality of interactions, right? This is exactly here we are talking about personalization, you know, around the customer experience and so on. One can hardly overlook elevation of reps' autonomy, right? Over the last 12 months, actually situation is really different, and it's definitely a huge advantage for top reps, and I would say it's a challenge for others, right? And last but not least, I would say it's an increasing importance of pull touch points, right? Physicians don't want anymore to get service which they don't need. They can do a lot of things by themselves, and increasing, you know, increasing impact of really value-added activities which bring them a value, you know, which bring them something which they cannot get by themselves. To summarize, I would say that value-added interactions remain in place, right? But I would say probably the role of rep may evolve further.
Thank you, Alexey. Next question. I think it's very hard to give one simple answer on that. How, of course, it depends about the region where the sales force is based. However, will companies who face, once we go back to next normal on face-to-face, differentiate somehow from those companies who are just focusing on digital, and how actually to differentiate in these very strange times? Let's start with you, Robert.
Yeah, that's looking in the future, and I think pure digital, or at the end, it depends on your portfolio. So it starts with this situation, which type of portfolio we are talking. And when I'm looking our company or our companies here in the chat, when we have a product which is not on the end of the life cycle, when it's in the launch phase, in the growth phase, I think just pure digital, it's not the successful the way we can choose. Maybe different on another late stage product, no question. And on the other hand, also our customer. They are asking. I had the opportunity. I talked with you in our pre-call. I was in the field for some days in beginning of March, and I saw customers. They are asking for, let's have an educational event, please. Let's meet again face to face. And I think also this question we have to answer for our customers, but also for our employees, especially for our reps, medical team, etc. That we have in the future a mix. From my point of view, the best thing, we learned a lot in the last 12 months, how we can interact digitally, how we can grow, and also you, Dario. I would like more to be today in Dubrovnik than here virtually. Maybe later we could have a drink with a sundowner, but it's also possible like this way. But it will be, from my point of view, and I'm sure it will be a mix with a much better key account, medical science or liaison managers, which have the opportunity to do both, to do digital, to do physical events, and also visits. And maybe we will do less of the years before and more digital, but it will be the future. I think just digital will not be the successful way, but I am biased. I'm a salesperson. I grow up in sales, and I'm feeling this. And when I'm sitting in front of a customer and looking in his eyes, it's much easier to come to the point, to the right patient, to the indication, etc., than via the virtual way, but also the segmentation of customer has to change, because we will also have the situation that we will in the future not see the customers we want to see, because they learned digital is possible. I can receive my need I have about a product, about a study, about the right way I want to interact with a pharmaceutical company. It will stay on digital then, but we have to know which type of customer is in front of me. Is this a guy who wants face-to-face interactions, events, or is this a guy who wants pure digital contacts? And both will be in the future for us. I would say in Europe, what I can see in Germany, Austria, Switzerland will be standard from my point of view. But back to you guys to see what you are bringing on the table.
Thank you, Robert. Maybe we can continue with you, Zsolt, based on this Robert's observation.
Okay, thank you. In many aspects, I need to join Robert, especially that I'm a sales guy too. So then my point of view is coming from the sales. Anyway, if you ask anybody in this industry that what's going to happen tomorrow, and if there will be a kind of magic formula to calculate somehow the conservative and traditional channels versus the digital channels, I hardly believe that anybody knows the answer. So what we could only do just to learn, so just to listen carefully and really try to understand the voice of the customer and detect the feedbacks coming from them, because it is changing as well. So what we see every single day that they are learning as well. They are learning the channels. They are learning now what are the values they could discover from the different channels, and I doubt that they are there, that they could clearly express or able to express what they really need at the moment. Of course, they could tell you, but this is changing over the period of time. So what I expect and what we could all anticipate that there will be a change, and maybe the need is going to be, how to say, understood over the period of time with a different pace and with a different understanding, if you know what I mean. So I don't expect that a clear and anonymous answer from our customer group right now. So our number one job is just to try to understand them. We at Richter are trying to do our best in order to understand them, but we have to really acknowledge that it's not easy at the moment. So some of our customers are in a very early phase of the digital maturity journey. So we have to acknowledge that, and we have to accept that for sure. Again, experiencing the last 12 months, I do hope that there will be the place for the face-to-face for sure. Many of our customers are asking us just to meet them, because they see still the value in that. So if there is a probability or chance to meet them, we could do that for sure, according to the local measures and regulations. And hopefully that will be the tomorrow. Selling is very much a conservative business, right? That from ancient time, it was two persons had some personal interactions, and the result of the interaction was something transaction, right? So I think it's not going to change fundamentally, although the channels are there to switch to. So definitely we need to make the switch. But again, understanding our customers, which are their preferences, this is going to be key for the future.
Thank you very much, Zsolt. Very good insights. Alexey.
So guys, first of all, I can hardly believe that we should force anything, right? It's really important to be agile here and in reaction to what customers actually want from us and what competitors are doing, right? This is the first point. And can hardly agree more that we human beings are made for working together, right? Personal touch and any types of interactions has always positive impact, right? This is clear. Extreme business models can hardly be standard practice, I would say, right? The most critical is to find out, the balance between digital and personal, face-to-face activities. And in the end of the day, go to market, you know how we are going to approach our customers. It's a function of customer channel preferences, right? And actually activities of our competitors. If something in the market, like face-to-face activity, is a hygiene factor, and we try to impose, you know, pure digital model, most probably we will have some issues with access, right? This is how we can see the situation.
Just a reaction on yours. So I fully agree with you, Alexey. Maybe some consideration will be the future that some companies are going to have very different answers for the challenges we are facing and the signals receiving from the customers, and it will be very interesting to see if there will be any competitive advantage of the companies who is going more towards digital or staying more traditional and conservative. So this is going to be interesting to see, and this is going to be part of the learning we are having. So I pretty much believe that most of you are doing the same, that trying to understand regionally or country-wise, if some countries are doing more face-to-face and less digital, if they are doing better than the other companies, the affiliates as a benchmark, right? So this is something part of the learning curve, and this will be valid for the competition as well on the market. So there will be some interesting turns maybe in this story.
Definitely. Gentlemen, on the right screen, under the button next main stage, you can see the chat section, and I can say it's on fire, and people are really discussing and sending some very encouraging messages. And I would like to proceed with the next question, but before I do that, on day one, we got a very interesting comment, and this is that the role of the rep changes a lot and expectations, but the KPIs are still more or less the same, right? And that's why maybe the proper question would be, what skill set will the next rep or the next normal rep have to have in the future? Maybe we can start this time with you, Alexey.
So, first of all, I would say that it's emotional intelligence, you know, including empathy, right? It's I can hardly imagine to be customer-centric if without understanding of true customer needs, right? And this is the first one. I believe this is one of the most important one, right? Secondly, it's high responsiveness to customer requests, right? Reps should play a role of a solution provider, so to say, and rather than a message transmitter. It is also ability to, you know, how I should put it, to distill complex information, to cope with complex information and distill messages, you know. And here I think there is a huge potential for modular content, right? I can hardly imagine that we would be able to produce, you know, all the answers, align the stuff with legal, you know, with other regulating functions. I think reps should be able, you know, like a Lego, put together communication packages being personal and at the same time playing the specific perimeter because we are working in the highly regulated industry. And last, probably it's agile mindset, right? Here I'm talking about speed, flexibility, you know, some collaboration, you know, with our customers. What we need is continuous discussion where in real time our customer-facing functions would be able to give answers, specific answers, right? And here I would say that probably quite a lot of expectations around technologies, right? Because I can hardly imagine that our customer-facing functions would have exactly the same knowledge as healthcare practitioners, right? We need to support them with the AI, you know, with the real-time recommendations, being able to access specialists who are able to provide right answer. Continuity of discussion in real time. It is something which may provide differentiation from my perspective.
Thank you, Alexey. Zsolt?
Yeah, I fully agree with Alexey. Maybe I would go back one step in terms of competencies and talking about the more, how to say, basic competency, which is very much needed, is the selling skill. It is very much different what is required to have an impactful and fruitful, meaningful conversation in different channels, right? So this is our number one job in these days to tell them and show them how to do it. and support all of our colleagues in these new channels how to do it. And again, most of our colleagues, frontline representatives, never ever had the chance to communicate with the customers other than the face-to-face channel. But we were very much conservative. So we have to, again, keep our eyes open and learn the techniques and methodologies and the skill set from other industries, and then apply them and show the way to the frontline representatives. Okay, this is the way how you could be successful in this channel, because this is very much different than the face-to-face. I had the chance a couple of times to see medical representatives failing in a remote call, who were so very successful in the past regarding the face-to-face. So it is again something what needs to learn, and as Alexey said, we have to adapt to this, and we have to learn that. So again, the selling skills in a different channel, having the right behavior, having the right approach, which could again create value to the customer, making sure that they realize the value there. It's not easy in these early phases. That's a trick to manage.
So coaching will also change, I guess, right? Which means that we will coach.
Sure. Yeah. This is the number one hurdle to overcome. How to coach in those the medical representatives in those new channels. What is the effective way of coaching?
By the way, do you, from own experience, coach much more frequently now than before, or is it still the same dynamics?
Is it to me?
Yeah.
Sorry, I just thought that this is towards Robert. Sorry. Yeah, both. both. So that considering the fact that if you are going full digital or mostly digital, the first line sales manager could and should have the time dedicated to the reps more, right? So no travel time. Very simple.
Definitely. Robert?
That time should be definitely turned to more coaching. But making the coaching more impactful than just having a conversation of talking heads, that's again another story which requires training and support from the second line sales manager. So the sales line change should be very active in this story. I think this is not a surprise to anyone who is working close to this aspect of the selling chain.
Definitely. Thank you, Zsolt. Robert, your opinion?
Yeah, I can not agree more with Zsolt and Alexey, because especially the point, the selling skills, I love very much, Zsolt, because that's why we are here. We are here to give our customers the best way to use our product, and to explain it. Which way maybe it will change in the near future, or it is changing yet. But for me, the skills for a future rep or also MSL is they will be, or they are also still today, orchestrator. They have so many opportunities and tools in their hands, and to know what is now the best way. We had a lot of pressure last year to go on approved emails, to push, to have just a base, to have an e-permission from our customers was the first hurdle we overcome. Then the next hurdle is to use the new tools and to bring it together in my daily business, to understand my customer, to bring value to my customer with the different tools, with the email, with my speech, with my face-to-face contact, with an event. However, and that's why the picture of an orchestrator is, from my point of view, the best one for a future salesperson or a medical person in our industry, because we have to know when I choose which channel, which type to grow our customer on the customer journey for our indication or our product. And I think with this picture, we have to develop our people. And the question was very good. What is with coaching? Also for our first line sales manager, second line sales manager, we have to develop their skills, because The past is I'm going with my rep to a customer and I'm observing what he's doing there, and I'm growing his selling skills. How I can make it today, how I can see it, the usage of the channels, etc. So it's an exciting time. Yeah, it's a lot of things to do to improve from my point of view.
Definitely.
But we cannot be more conservative anymore, Robert. So we the salespeople, right?
Yeah.
We had 20 years in the industry just laying back and hoping for the best.
Yeah.
But now,
now it's the time for change. Absolutely.
Yeah, sure.
I see the audience really likes our discussion, so I will pick two questions. First is coming from Lode, and the question is, which HCP is lower value, and perhaps more importantly, would like to know that you see him, her as such?
Sorry, I didn't get the point here.
You can see the question on the next main stage. So Lode put a question in an interesting way, which is, here is a question. I mean, which HCP is lower value, and perhaps more importantly, would like to know that you see him, her in such way.
Let me take this point, Dario. I would say that our final objective is to reach as many patients as possible with our service, right? And this is exactly, it has nothing to do with the value of HCP. It is to ensure sustainability of our service. We do not have unlimited resources. Therefore, we try to focus on the HCPs, thinking about the, so to say, the most significant reach of patients, right? It has nothing to do with the value. And I would say that now with the activation of many other channels, we have a great opportunity, commercially effective, cover much broader populations of customers. Here we are talking, I don't believe that in a couple of whatever month, maybe by the end of this year, we discuss target and non-target customers. No, we have a customers. And we are providing service for these customers, slightly different one, depending on the expectations, depending on our opportunities, abilities, right? But we would not differentiate anymore in this way. Therefore, I would say all customers are extremely important for us. And we are thinking, not talking about customers, HCPs, and actually their patients, which is two things which we should not actually distinguish.
Thank you, Alexey. Robert, Zsolt?
Well, just maybe a minor comment here that this term high value customer, low value customer, coming from a traditional model where the account value was estimated based on potential loyalty and these kind of traditional measures. And I agree with that when the digital era comes, and it is coming and it is here already, the accessing the customers and with the help of the customers, the patients at the end of the day is not going to be that much hurdle, and it was in the traditional model. So when you had the army of medical representatives, which was always limited, never ever enough, you had to somehow prioritize, right? That was what was created, the high value, low value terms. So not from now, it's not going to be valid anymore. What is going to be very much valid and help us to understand their preferences, their digital attitude. So I believe that as many companies there are on the market will have a kind of different understanding of this attitude, and the segmentation models will be built based on this different understanding. But maybe this is going to be key. How are customers understanding the value in the channel they can perceive, and we could prioritize the communication based on that. And this is digital attitude, coming from the digital maturity towards the literacy and the ease of use, ease of access of the digital channels and things like that. So this is very much a complex story, and maybe very much likely that this is going to replicate this kind of traditional segmentation model. Maybe this is hopefully this is a kind of answer to this question here.
Thank you, Zsolt. Robert, final words?
Yeah, I can also agree with both of you, and I would say the opportunity that we have much more channels, much more models, we can grow also our customer base, because I'm also in the past we had just the number of people and the goal to see them, I don't know, 7 times, 8 times, 12 times a year, and that was reducing the number of opportunities we can grow customer, because I like the point from Alexey, we have just customer in the future, and we are also responsible for developing customer, not just use their potential. We have also, with new channels, new models, the opportunity to grow customer to a good customer for my therapy area, for example. And I think there is also something where we can look for and develop.
Thank you very much. Felipe also asked a very interesting question, but I will rephrase that into a statement, and this is that better collaboration between sales-driven channels and digital marketing teams could definitely lead us to closed-loop marketing, right?
Absolutely.
With that thoughts and with a continuous change management procedure, like Zsolt said, I would also fully agree, we are just in dawn of this process. I would like to leave this session, this panel. Thank you very much, gentlemen. It was really a pleasure, and hopefully you join some other sessions as well at next call.
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
Ciao, ciao. Bye-bye.
It was nice to see you.